Welcome you all to the Bhagavad Gita adult class 7 p.m. And these are the deities of ISKCON Radha Govinda temple. On our journey, let's continue of the Bhagavad Gita in 18 days. Om Agnyana Timirandhasya Jana Sharakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane नामसे सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Paying my respectful obeisances to Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, his disciple Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj and his disciple, Temple President, His Grace Namnishtha Das Prabhu, and my Guru who has given me this opportunity, that is Aishwarya Mataji. We begin with the chapter Gyan Vigyan Yoga today, which is the knowledge of the Absolute. So this is the beginning of the middle chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. If we divide the 18 chapters into 3, they are 6 plus 6 plus 6. So the first 6 chapters are more or less about Karma Yoga. They mostly focus on Karma Yoga. The middle chapters are mostly about Bhakti Yoga. This is mainly to elevate the devotion, the feeling of devotion and love for the Lord, and help us to think about Him all the time and reach His abode, which is our home. And the last 6 chapters will be mainly about Jnana Yoga. But of course, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, all these are very interlinked and they all actually lead to Bhakti Yoga. So if you see the pastry right in the center, there is always, chocolate lava cake. We have all the chocolate right in the middle. Or on the earth, if you want a diamond, you go right, you have to dig towards the center and you will find all the precious stones. And in a necklace also, the center, you will find the locket. So everywhere you can see that just like the yumminess of a lava cake is buried right in the core, the covering is tasty, but it's therefore for prevention of leakage. The main thing is the central part. The diamonds in the mine are in the mantle, or the precious stones which are there are in a necklace, they are usually found in the center. So similarly, the central 6 chapters are the heart of the Gita, and they are the Bhakti Yoga, and we are beginning the first of the Bhakti Yoga chapters. In this chapter, we will mainly be talking about importance of hearing in the spiritual realm. So when we are talking about spiritual knowledge, it's very important to focus on hearing. It's not about experiential learning. It's not about practical learning. Of course, you will apply it to your practical life. You will apply it and you will feel the differences. But the knowledge comes from hearing, from the authorities or from the scriptures. And the second part of this chapter is about Krishna's energy. This is very useful for us because it helps us to understand Krishna better. See, when somebody loves Krishna, they want to know more about him. Like you suddenly feel attracted to somebody and then you want to know more about him. Where is he? What is his, what is actually his job? What does he do? What are his, influences? You want to know everything about that person, where does he live? What is he doing? Similarly, when you hear that Krishna is God, you want to know more and more about him. You want to understand him better. So that is the reason why these chapters are these verses are so beautiful. It helps us to understand Krishna better. And then the 7.30 to 7.19 talks about what kind of people accept Krishna. And there are always some kind of people who will reject Krishna. Krishna says that there will be some people, because this material world itself is created because of the souls who wanted to enjoy independence from Krishna. So this big dark material world was created. Now there will be some people whom Krishna wants everyone to come back home, but some people will insist because of their lust and because of their desires or past karmas, they don't want to hear about Krishna. So they will reject Krishna. What kind of 4 kind of people who will reject Krishna and 4 kind of people who will accept Krishna is explained very beautifully in the verses 7.13 to 19. In 7.20 to 25, Krishna will explain himself. He will talk about demigod worship. So we will see in detail how Krishna knows that there will be people who want, who want to enjoy this material world, and they want to always, they're worried about all their relationships and their property and their belongings and everything related to the material world. So then they know that the demigods are in control of all this. So they're actually, the demigods get all their control from the Lord himself. For example, the government, the prime minister has to, give the sanction for all the different things that the ministry, people, the ministers in his department will do. Now they will follow all the instructions of the prime minister. Similarly, the Lord has to give the sanction for everything, for every action. Nothing can be done, no decision can be taken independently by the minister. Similarly, the demigods are the ones in charge, and they will execute whatever the Lord will instruct them to do. But at the same time, the people, they think that, they pray to demigod, they will get immediate blessings. So they pray to the demigod. And Krishna will explain that. Krishna explains all this very beautifully in the Bhagavad Gita. Many people, when they hear this, they don't like it initially, but when they read the Bhagavad Gita and they have faith in the Gita and the words of the Lord, they will slowly begin to understand. It may take some some problem, some difficulty, because any learning requires people to unlearn first. That is why when Srila Prabhupada went to the Western world, it was easy for him than in India, because in India, people have so many, notions. There are so many people who have been saying such a lot of things, and they have interpreted the Gita not exactly the way it should be interpreted, by not even mentioning Krishna. They interpret the whole Gita as if it is some spirit or energy. They don't, take the Gita's words as Krishna said it. So there is a lot of misconceptions, and therefore people, what happens is, in India, they already have such a lot of background information. They're not able to, unlearn and learn in a fresh way from the, from the scriptures as explained by the devotee like Srila Prabhupada. So then that is the problem. That's the reason why in the beginning, many of us don't like some of the concepts, but as you try to think about it and deeper, you will be able to understand the deep logic behind it. And that is why you will see that many, all over the world, people, the devotees who understand the Gita and Bhagavatam because of Srila Prabhupada's books are increasing. And in 7.26 to 30, we come to know about who is it that who can actually become a devotee. So let's begin with the first verse, which begins with Bhagavan himself speaking. Arjuna is not asking a question in chapter 7. The Lord himself will say, Maya saktamanah partha yogam yunjanmadashrayah asamshayam samagram mam yathagnasyasi tachrunu. So in this, the word tachrunu is of great significance. It means here. So he says, now here, tachrunu, now here, O son of Pritha. How? By practicing yoga in full consciousness of me. And what is yoga? We learned in chapter 6 that yoga is constantly meditating upon the Lord. And when you do that in full consciousness of the Lord with your mind attached to him, only then you can know him, because you need to be constantly thinking of him. Only then you will know him, and then you'll be free of all these doubts which will come in your mind. So in the Bhakti chapter, Krishna begins by saying how you can actually develop Bhakti. By constantly thinking of him, you will get to know him better. That is how. So in 7.2, Krishna is saying, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, which is both phenomenal and numinous. So numinal or numinous actually is related to the material world. Anything that is material. Phenomenal is like, spiritual, which you can't, it's a phenomenon. It can't be seen. It's a spiritual thing. And nominal and phenomenal, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. So actually, once you know spiritual knowledge, there is no need to know anything else. That is what Krishna is declaring here. He says, I declare that, Krishna doesn't give only spiritual knowledge. By gaining spiritual knowledge, you also automatically understand the material world very well. Right? So that is what Krishna is saying. In 7.3, Krishna is saying, Manushyanam Sahasreshu. This is a very important point. Whenever we look at the people around us, and many of them, most of them, they don't want to listen to the Gita. They don't want to understand. In my own family, there is more than 3/4 of the people who just don't. In fact, I very rarely you will find someone who takes interest in the Gita, wants to really understand what Krishna is saying. Manushyanam sahasreshu, among thousands of men, only one among thousands will ever try for perfection. That is a perfection which you need to try as having a human body. This is a Bhagavad Gita is a manual, how to, use it. And Krishna is telling us in his manual what to do. But among thousands of people, you can find in the marathon, thousands are running. But at the end, they'll be all giving up one by one, they just don't continue till the end. As you can see in the class also, I was telling you earlier, 30 people had joined in the first class. Then it was, 19 or something, 15, and see today 11. So what happens is that only one may endeavor for perfection because they don't want to listen about Krishna. And among those also, those who achieve perfection with all, by going through everything and they do it everything properly, still only one among those few of them will actually understand Krishna in truth, because understanding Krishna is not so simple. That's why Krishna had to create this whole big material world, or spiritual world is many, many times bigger. The whole material world is created by Krishna because there are so many of these souls who want to enjoy independent from him, and they don't want to understand how beautiful the spiritual world, which is the real home of ours, is. So not every person is inquisitive in spiritual science. Out of few interested, even fewer can find the right guru, because you can't understand spiritual knowledge without a proper guru. You have to be very fortunate to get the guru who can actually teach you the real understanding. Many of them will teach Gita in a material way, but who can give you actual spiritual understanding. And out of those who at least, at last find a guru also, even few of them have the faith or strength to follow all the regulative principles through which you can realize God. So the whole purpose of this human birth is to understand that this material world is a dukkhalayam. Most people won't even agree to that statement, which Krishna says very clearly. This whole material world is a dukkhalayam. But then what happens? They're always saying, oh, be happy, oh, be happy. Fine, you can be happy, but the material world and material pleasures, there is a limit. There is a limit means there is only limit. Because no pleasure is permanent. No pleasure is completely fulfilling. But when you understand the spiritual joy of being one with Krishna, do you understand true joy? Because that is permanent. And that can be given only by Krishna. So most people, they're just running after the temporary material joys. So what are the ways we can get knowledge? One is the ascending process, where you yourself want to find out everything. You say, no, I don't want a guru. I don't believe in scriptures. I will myself become a guru by meditating, and I will myself discover the truth. This is a defective process because our senses are defective. First of all, if you really think even a little bit wisely, you can understand that this human body is full of defects. We can't see perfectly. We can't hear perfectly. The human body is only meant, for the limited things that we can do. We can see how much, as much as needed. Krishna gives us only as much as we need. We remember only as much as we need to remember. Everything is limited. Faith is an essential ingredient for acquiring knowledge. And the third is a descending process. Only through faith you will acquire knowledge, or you can acquire knowledge through the descending process. So knowledge through hearing is what Krishna is recommending. Tat Shrunu. He says that you have to develop the ability to, like the Shabda Pramana. The voice is the voice of the Lord, and therefore you gain knowledge through the voice of the scriptures, which comes from the Lord himself. So knowledge works based on natural laws. It is limited to matter. It is imperfect. And why is the knowledge, imperfect for us when we go by ascending process? Because human beings have a cheating tendency. They have imperfect senses. They have a tendency to commit mistakes. And so many mistakes human beings always keep committing. The soul and super soul cannot be understood with our material senses because they are non-material. You cannot understand them. So then if you keep on insisting, oh, I want to understand only by experiment, and when I see only I will believe and all that, then the spiritual knowledge is not for you. What are the four inherent defects of human beings? We commit mistakes. We become illusion. So many times we get illusion. Our senses are imperfect. And Krishna says very clearly in the Kali Yuga, everyone has a tendency to cheat. So it is not possible. Now this picture is very common. Many of you must have seen it. The elephant is there and different people are like tiny beings trying to understand a huge elephant with their eyes closed, and they feel that one thinks it's like an arrow, the other says, who's touching the the trunk, he says it's feeling like a snake. The elephant is like a snake. One is touching the ears and saying this feels like the axe. Somebody is touching the trunk of the elephant and says this is feeling like the tree trunk. So people, their knowledge is imperfect. Whatever they have seen in the limited vision, the stories that they have heard, suppose that, like, for example, the Mahabharata is so huge, and you develop some, understanding about some people. Like recently, I came to know about how Shakuni was, actually playing out the part which his father had asked him to play. So these are like, I don't want to go into that right now, but every person, the way they are, has so much of information behind of so many birds and everything. We don't know. Krishna doesn't think that we need to know also all that, because he only wants us to understand that he is the Lord of the universe and he wants us to go back to him. That's it. He's written a love letter. He says, look, this is the Bhagavad Gita. I'm giving it to you. Read it. The only thing you need to understand is I am God and I love you and I'm calling you back home. That's it. This is all you really need to understand in the Gita. So Krishna gives us the full knowledge in this chapter. And what is it? The Lord talks about how his incarnations are actually free from imperfections. So many people think that incarnations are, as if God is actually impersonal like energy. And the incarnations are just temporarily, they come and they take a shape and they do their job. And then again, God is impersonal. So these are all what impersonalists and Mayavadis think. And so they think they are also like that. Oh, we have come here for some time and then we will also become God. So these are some misconceptions which people read the scriptures wrongly and say. How we can survive without placing our faith? Faith is must. Faith we always have, right? Suppose you go for an operation and then you have to have faith on the surgeon. You can't say that, oh, I can't have faith. You have to do the operation, whatever is needed for you. If you're traveling in a bus, you have to have faith on the bus driver. You're going on a flight, you sit on the flight, and then you can't say, oh my God, I'll not go on the flight because I don't know the pilot is, whether he knows his job or not. And barber, you go and you go for a haircut, you don't know what he's going to do. So you have to, you're taking medicines from the doctor. All these places you place faith. Similarly, you have to place faith in the scriptures, which are just, the words of God himself. How can you not place your faith there, where it is most needed, where the scriptures are telling you the purpose of your life? There you don't want to place your faith. Other places everywhere you place your faith. The chemistry book is saying all different things. You've never seen it, you never understood it, but you place your faith. Oh, science. But when it comes to scriptures, no, I can't understand. I don't believe it. No faith. Right? So it is important that we develop faith in our scriptures. You have to nurture back the faith in the scriptures, the faith that is eroded by centuries of abuse and exploitation. People, for their own different material desires, abuse the scriptures. They say that, oh, Brahmana's child is a Brahmana, Kshatriya's child is a Kshatriya. The caste system, everything is actually faultily, because of faulty interpretation. Krishna clearly says in the Gita that the caste, these four divisions, varnashramas, can never be based on birth. Of course, those who are born in that family, because of their past karma, they have greater chance of following the same kind of, having the same kind of qualities. But never is it, that it has to be like that. All the rules that they make in today's government and constitution is faulty, because first of all, the person is not born into that. It doesn't come by birth. You can't decide that his parent is this, so he is also this. You cannot decide. It's based on the qualities that he has got, the karmas that he has, the modes, the sattvagun, rajogun, tamogun, what degree he has. Only that can decide what is your real duty as per the varnashrama dharma. And so we are again coming back to this, that the descending process is what we should follow, where we receive the knowledge from the scriptures, which is a perfect source. There's a life lesson in between which we can look at. A bona fide devotee, a pure devotee, he transmits perfect knowledge. Why? Because Krishna says in the Gita also that I, come as a lamp of knowledge in the heart of a devotee. There is a beautiful verse which says, I am not able to remember exactly. Krishna says that I come as a lamp of knowledge in the heart of a devotee. So one who becomes a true devotee, knowledge comes to him, doesn't have to strive for it. It comes like, just Krishna grants the blessings of the knowledge. Now let's move to the second part of the chapter, which is all about Krishna's energies. How Krishna is actually everywhere. That's what we come to know from the second part of the chapter. Krishna's energy pervades the entire universe. First, let's look at which Krishna explains it systematically one by one. So he's saying, Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhareva cha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtadha. Prakritirashtadha. He talks about the 8 different separated material energies of the Lord. 5 of them we all know. They are the Panchabhutas, that is earth, water, fire, air, ether. Now, other than these, there is mind, intelligence, and false ego. Now, these 3 are called subtle body. So, our body is a gross body. This body is a gross body. It is made up of the material elements. And they are also have got different degrees of subtlety. And then the more subtle ones are the mind, intelligence, and ego, which is like the covering of our soul. So the soul has 2 coverings, material and gross. And both of these are actually material. They're not transcendental. Only the soul is transcendental or spiritual. So here we can see how the gross body, which is a body which we have, the ones we can touch and feel, the grossest one, earth, water, fire, air, and ether make it up. And then there's another covering, which is mind, intelligence, and false ego. And then right inside is the soul. Soul is made up of Sat, Chit, and Anand. Truth, knowledge, and bliss. Eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And now let's look at these elements, how they increase in the how they increase in the subtlety. For example, the earth is the most gross material thing. The earth. That can be felt with all 5 senses. You can see the earth, you can smell it, you can taste it, you can, hear the sounds from the earth, and you can feel it. The water, however, you can't smell. Pure water will have no smell. So now it has become a little more subtle. You can't, smell the water. Fire, you can't taste also, you can't smell also. But you can see it, you can hear fires create some sound, you can hear it, you can see it, and you can feel it. Air becomes even more subtle than earth, water, and fire. You can't even see it also now. Air, you can't even see, but you can feel it when the wind is blowing. You can hear the sound of it when it is blowing. Ether is even more subtle than air. In fact, from here onwards, the scientists, because the scientists have to depend on their senses, from here onwards, the scientists are lost. They can't really understand. Why? Because the ether is something that you can't even feel also, but it can carry signals. So they say that the space is absolutely vacuum, but actually there also there is ether. That's why in our body, in between the atomic spaces, which people think is vacuum or emptiness, actually there is ether. So that is the most subtle among the 5 material elements. Then there are the ones which are really subtle, in which the mind is more subtle than all these material elements. Intelligence becomes even more subtle than the mind. And the ahankara or the false ego is the most subtle of all. Subtle means something which is not material, which you can't actually sense with your sense organs. That's what it means. So in 7.5, Krishna says that, okay, all these material things which I spoke about, these 8 things are all material. When your soul will actually become realized and go back to spiritual world, none of these 8 elements will go with it. It just goes as a pure spirit soul back to the spiritual world. So Krishna says that besides this inferior nature, that is these 8 material things, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which are all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. So Krishna talks about how this superior energy is the jivatmas. All the atmas are tiny, very tiny atmas which are there in each of us heart region and inside every living thing. In fact, it pervades all the atoms also everywhere. That living entity which is so tiny, that is, although it is tiny, it is very powerful. It has consciousness which spreads all around. So, for example, our soul has got the consciousness, passes the consciousness in the whole body. The moment the soul leaves the body, the entire consciousness is over, it becomes a dead man. So, Krishna says that besides this inferior material nature, the superior energy of mind is a living entity. So, we are also the living entity. Our Jivatma is also a part of the of Krishna, of the Lord Himself. And the Jivatmas are sustaining and also struggling. Krishna uses the word here to explain that we're actually the material nature, we are struggling with it. Actually, the spirit soul is meant to be free, but we are like in a jail of the material body and the gross and subtle bodies. Then, next, what we see is that Krishna is saying that, "O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, just like pearls are strung in a thread." So, how are the pearls strung? Look at the necklace of pearls. You can't see the string inside. But if the string was not there, the pearls would all break loose. It wouldn't even stay together. So everything in this whole universe is kept together the way it is only because of the power of God, the God's energies. Krishna's energies are keeping everything together. And you can't see Krishna. Why? Because he's there, he's just holding everything together. He's not literally here. He is there everywhere. His energies are there everywhere. It's like, like the ruler of a country is ruling everywhere. His rule is being applied everywhere, but that doesn't mean he's there everywhere. You can't see him everywhere. But his rule is being applied. His power is felt everywhere. And in 7.6, Krishna says, "Of all that is material and all that is spiritual, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution." Both of the material world and the spiritual world, the only, the origin is only Krishna. Even the dissolution and the origin, both are coming from Krishna. So what is Krishna comparing himself to in this verse 7.7? He's comparing himself to the string within the pearl. And he says that there is no other truth greater than me. And therefore, he is the essential principle of the entire universe. O conqueror of wealth, I am the thread on which the pearls are strung. So, if you improve, how will you improve your vision to be able to see God? Not by trying to see God. You have to hear God. When you hear about Him, you understand Him, and then you start seeing Him everywhere. You have to listen to the scriptures. It comes, the Shabda Praman, it comes through the proof of existence of God comes by hearing. It cannot be, proved by seeing. When a person, wants a house built for himself, what does he do? He will have a rough plot. He gets the premises clean. Some people will come and clean his premises and, remove the uncontrolled growth. Then the engineer is there. He is consulted. He gets the construction done. Once the house is built, you give them the remunerations and then the person is living in the house. So similarly, we are, we cannot demand, person who is done the construction or the person who has cleaned, the house doesn't belong to them. They have just come and done their work, which the owner wants, and they have to go. Similarly, the two parties, that is the person who has cleaned and the person who has done the engineering, they cannot claim that the house is mine. Similarly, we are here to fulfill whatever work Krishna wants us to do, and we can't claim that this is our mine, because we are just doing the work. We are taking care and doing what is required, what is needed to be done. Whatever Krishna wants us to do, we do that. But we don't, say that this is mine. We don't do that. Similarly, all the different, demigods and all the different other, expansions of the Lord, they do whatever Krishna wants them to do. And and they don't ever say that it's mine. For example, Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. He is always meditating on Krishna. He will always, he will never say that I'm the Lord, I'm the Lord of the universe, because he knows he is always in meditation of the Lord of the universe himself. He is there and control of the material world, but he knows that he is the devotee of the Lord in the spiritual world. Now, Krishna from 7.8 really gives a beautiful explanation of how he pervades everything so that we can remember him, how he is everywhere. So he says that, "O Arjuna, I am the taste of water." Water is something you will always drink. You can't be without drinking water. So whenever you drink water, you can remember that this taste of water is Krishna. It will help you to remember Krishna. I am the light of the sun and the moon. Krishna pervades everything. There's nothing which is not him, but wherever there is a goodness or an extra, an extra ability, that is because of Krishna. And the others, which are lack of ability or something, it's not that Krishna is not there. He's everywhere, but those are more because of the different material desires or the results of the Jivatma's actions. Wherever that there is something which is happening, which is beautiful or which is far excellent, reaching above the normal, that is only because of Krishna's grace. That's why he says that I am the light of the sun and the moon, and the syllable Om in the Vedic mantra. So some people say, oh, in the whole of Vedas, there is no mention of Krishna. Of course there is. Krishna says, I am the Om, and there is not a single Vedic mantra which doesn't begin with Om. So Om, Krishna says that sound, the Om is actually, I am that. I am the sound in ether. I am the ability in man, any ability. So this, this verse actually I really like a lot. Because, after this verse, whenever we see somebody who is much better than us in some area, then we don't feel envy or jealous at all, because we just say, oh, that is Krishna. Krishna's grace. Krishna's, that ability is Krishna. So now you feel that, love for everyone. Whatever ability they have, that is Krishna. What ability is in me comes from Krishna. And so there's a whole list from 7.8 to 11. We'll not read all the verses. Krishna says, I'm the taste of water, I'm the light of the sun, I'm the sound of Om in all the Vedic mantras, I'm the ability in man, I'm the fragrance of the earth, I'm the heat of fire, I'm the life of all that lives, I am the penance of all the ascetics. So Krishna says, I am the penance. The austerity that we do, or penance, that is Krishna. I am the original seed of all existences. Original seed is basically the father, the person who brings about all existences. Krishna is the origin. I am the intelligence of the intelligent. If you see somebody being very intelligent, just understand that that comes from Krishna. The intelligence comes from Krishna. The prowess of powerful men comes from Krishna. The strength which is free from passion and desire, which is not a strength, which is not because somebody who wants to, display his passion, his display his, strength just for a desire to be fulfilled. Not that kind of strength, but the pure kind of strength is coming from Krishna. And sex life. So, some people shy away from talking about sex, but here Krishna says straight away that I am the sex life. But what kind of sex life? Only that which is not contrary to religious persons. So not illicit sex, and not sex which is just had for material pleasures, which is temporary. Krishna says that to beget a Krishna conscious child, and then, you follow all those traditions and you beget a Krishna conscious child, that sex life is also Krishna. So this is a picture depicting all of that. And now once we have heard about there are more, the remaining chapters, Krishna will describe a lot more, because, Arjuna wants to know more and more. Because he loves Krishna. Now he really wants to understand the Lord of the universe. So then in these chapters, to increase the bhakti and the prema towards the Lord, Krishna will just, beautifully keep on explaining so that we can think about it and actually be one, be in yoga. So we move to the next one. Once you know how Krishna is everywhere, he's like the string in the middle of the pearl, and how he is both the external and the material energies, the 8 types and the higher energies. We understand all that. And now he talks about, okay, let me tell you about what kind of people will accept me and what kind of people will reject me. So Krishna never says that, oh, everyone in the world is going to, understand me. No, he clearly says some people will never accept Krishna. So Krishna is saying in the Gita very clearly why some people do not know Krishna. So don't get worried when you see people, oh, I want to talk about Krishna to everyone. No, stick to devotees. There'll be many people who don't understand Krishna and will never understand, at least not in these births. They need to take many births. Why is that so? Because they are covered by Maya. And what is Maya? Maya are the 3 gunas of Prakriti. Durga Devi, right? The Mahamaya. She is a Durga Devi. Her job is to not allow these people to know about Krishna, because they are not ready for it. They are fully covered by lust and material desires and sense of proprietorship. They are not ready for it. So Krishna actually, Maya also works under Krishna's instructions. Krishna has told Maya, it's your job. You have to ensure that people are entrapped in Maya. And what is Maya? Rajogun, Tamogun, and Sattvagun. All the three are parts of Maya. So we understand that very nicely in the other chapters. So in 7.12, Krishna says, all states of being, whether it is goodness, passion, ignorance, Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun, are all also Krishna's energy. He says, I am actually everything, yet I am independent. It's not that Krishna will take responsibility of our being in one mode, or we are having some karma phala, so Krishna takes some risk. Nothing. Krishna is independent. He allows the way things to be as they are supposed to be based on our own independent will. The limited, independence Krishna has given us, whatever we desire, whatever we deserve, Krishna will not interfere. He is independent from all that. Although he is the material modes of nature, comes from him only. He is the one who is, he is the one who manifests those energies. Maya also comes from him only. Maya, once created, she follows Krishna's instructions. Why is the whole world not understanding Krishna? Again, because of the nature, because of the material modes of nature. The whole world does not really know Krishna as he is because of the modes. So, what do we see here? We can see in this picture how the three modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamagun, are like the threads, like, the puppets. We are like puppets in its hand. And we can see all these different steps which are leading people away from Krishna or towards Krishna. So now let's look at this beautiful verse which says, Devi Hesha Gunamai Mamaya Duratyaya Mame Vaye Prapadyante Maya Metam Taranti Te. So Krishna says that this energy of mind, right, the Maya, it's got three modes and it is very, very difficult to overcome. In fact, it is not possible for anyone to overcome it unless they surrender to Krishna. But the moment they surrender to Krishna, where they have given up all other desires and the only desire is to be with Krishna, immediately they are freed from it and they can immediately go back to the spiritual world, right? So that is the beauty of it. How can a person overcome Krishna? You have to first surrender. You have to surrender to the transcendental vibration of the Maha Mantra. It starts by chanting in the Kali Yuga. Then now Krishna is talking about the four kinds of dushkritinas. Dushkritinas are people who will not believe Krishna. One is mudha, stupid people. Krishna is clearly saying mudha. Those who are grossly foolish, they cannot understand Krishna. Then the lowest among mankind, naradhama, and whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, maya pahrita jnana. And those who are atheistic in nature, asuram bhavam ashrita. These are the people who will not surrender to Krishna. So let's quickly look at what are these kind of people which Krishna is explaining in chapter 7. Foolish people are like the donkeys who think that, oh, I have no time for all, Gita and Krishna. Oh, I don't have time. They are being very foolish because they are forgetting that they need to do their duty towards their soul because they are the soul. They don't even want to know all that. They just want to enjoy the material pleasures which are temporary. Then the sinful people, they are the dushkritinas. Like there are so many rakshasas. They want to live forever in their same material body. They want to have power. They want to enjoy all these things. They don't know that there's a spiritual world. They have a spirit soul within them and that's going to be eternal bliss. And they don't understand all that. So they do all kinds of different, unnecessary, which is against the scriptures. They do these meditations. The kind of meditation, like for example, Ravana, he would sit and do meditation and then he would challenge cut off my heads one by one. And then, they do all this kind of unauthentic kind of meditations and austerities which are not prescribed by the Lord. And then they please the demigods who have no other choice. And then they try to get different boons which as if they feel that once they get that, they become super powerful and then they gain a lot of power. And then Krishna has to come, actually he can do it without coming, but he does it for the pleasure of devotees. For Leela, he comes and he defeats such people himself. So those who are dushkritana are the ones who are jealous of God, jealous of people. They forever want to cause disturbance. Then their Maya Apahrita Jnana, as you can see, this person is standing there, very scholarly, getting so many awards, getting a doctorate, getting certificates and prizes. And he thinks that, oh, I'm the most intelligent because I've got so many certificates. I am, I have done the highest possible education and I've got scholarship and everything. And he's so proud because of his material knowledge that he fails to open his eyes to see the spiritual knowledge and the real purpose of human body. He fails to see it. Such a person will never come to Krishna because he's so full of pride. The fourth is never come is in the sense this birth. Okay, all this is this whole birth, they will not open their eyes to understand Krishna. The fourth is the Naradhama. They are the atheists. They will say, I'm an atheist directly. They'll be openly, they don't want to hear about Krishna. They hate to hear about Krishna. This is like Jagai Madai. But Jagai Madai, these two people, they actually, when they come in contact with the Lord himself in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually the Lord himself. Then they get, converted into devotees. So it's not like these people will never get converted to devotees. If they come in contact, because of God's grace, to be with a really powerful devotee, with a pure devotee, even they get influenced. We have many stories which I will not come to now. Who are the four types of people who cannot surrender? It's a revision: foolish, uncivilized, naradhamas, misled intellectual society. They just so-called intellectuals, but they actually have no intellect. Krishna himself calls them stupid because they think that the material knowledge is everything that one needs to know. Whereas Krishna says in the Gita that spiritual knowledge is everything that one really needs to know. Otherwise, you don't need to know other things. Asuram Bhava is a demonic nature people. Of course, here I would like to make a mention that the knowledge that we get from school, the skills for our own earning, that is not, nobody says those are not needed. You need to survive in this world. You need to take care of your body. So why you need to take care of your body? Because you have to achieve the ultimate purpose of this human life, for which you have to have this body so that you can do the required austerity or the required, amount of practices to reach that level of surrender, which will help you to free yourself from this material body. Now, what are the four types of people? Again and again, I've taken from different classes the beautiful slides. So, we forget to understand that with every passing moment, we are coming closer to our death. Tomorrow's chapter is about death. You'll be understanding that very well. We are running on the reverse clock, and therefore we need to do our duties towards the soul. If people say we have no time for spirituality, then you're actually becoming busier than God intended you to be. God didn't intend you to be so busy. He intended the human body to work, to find the answers and get back to the spiritual world. And what are the four kinds of people who will begin understanding Krishna? One is those who are artho. So Krishna says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam. Four types of people will come to me. Jana sukritano arjuna. Artho jignasur artharthi. One is artho. One who is in pain. For example, there was a great saint in Kerala, Bhattatripad. He was in severe pain because of arthritis. There's a story behind it. We'll not go to that. Then there's Draupadi, who was in severe pain and distress because of sari being pulled in front of everyone. Such a horrible situation. Gajendra with the crocodile biting his eating into the flesh of his legs. In pain, they call out to Krishna and they surrender. Artharthi is those who desire wealth. Dhruv, when he wanted to sit on his father's lap and he was insulted, he wanted to prove and he wanted to be wealthier than his grandfather, and he wanted to be very wealthy. So because of that, he goes to Krishna. Sugriva, he wanted his kingdom back, and so he's desiring wealth. Then Jignasu is one who's inquisitive. Parikshit, when he's about to die, he knows I have 7 days to die. He's inquisitive. What exactly should I do? Before I reach my death. Jnani is the one who's got knowledge. He is actually a highly elevated person because he already frustrated with speculative knowledge, going on speculating, is this really there, is it really there, is that really, going on thinking what is real, what is unreal. And the speculative kind of material knowledge, he is frustrated and fed up. And now he has come to the true spirituality where he's ready to get jnana or the knowledge from the spiritual sources, from the scriptures. So for example, Sukadeva Goswami. These are the four kinds of people. And Krishna calls them pious. although they are actually going towards God because of their own selfish things. One wants wealth, one wants to be free from pain, one wants some knowledge. Still, Krishna calls these are the pious people, because they turn to God. So these are the pictures of the four people, these different examples. In pain, the Draupadi, as well as this, this elephant, which we have just seen, Gajendra. And then we have Dhruv here for money. And this Sukadev Goswami was inside the womb of his mother. This is Vyasadeva's son for, I think, 14 years, because he was afraid to come to the world, knowing that Maya is going to capture him and will not allow him to stay in transcendental, the transcendental realm. And then here we have Parikshit Maharaj and we have Sugriva. So of these, Krishna writes the wise person, the one in knowledge best. He says that one who is in knowledge is actually already in union with me, because he does pure devotional service, and I'm very dear to him and he's dear to me. Now it's such a jnani actually, he's already realized that I'm fed up. I'm fed up of this material world and thinking and, all speculating about what is there, what is not there. He's fed up. Now he just wants Krishna. So that is why he says, I am dear to him. Krishna becomes dear to the person who's reached the jnani level, and he is very dear to me also. And why is the jnani given this exalted position in the verse 7.17 by Krishna? Because others may forget Krishna once their pain is gone. Once they become rich, Krishna, the pain is gone, and then they forget Krishna. They get the money that Krishna gives, then they forget Krishna. Or they get the knowledge and then they think, okay, now I understood. Bye. So that is why the jnani is most, the one who has truly understood and he's in devotional service. Him Krishna likes the most. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Now this is the savior of those dushkritanas. After many births, they will ultimately surrender to Krishna, knowing that he is the cause of all causes. But such a birth or such a soul is very, very rare. Sudurlabha, very rare and difficult. And those whose minds are distorted by material desire. Now from 7.20, Krishna talks about what kind of people go to demigods. They are actually did not understand the spiritual knowledge. They have not reached that understanding. So they want different material desires. Oh, I want to get a lot of good marks. Or I want knowledge. I want wealth. I want land. I want children. Different things they want in the material world. And then they go to the different demigods and they follow particular rules. Do this puja, this mannat, then you will get this, right? So that is because of their attachment to the material world, and they have not reached that transcendental level where they understand that I am actually supposed to serve the Lord, and I'm not supposed to keep on increasing my attachment to this material world, which I have to anyway leave and go. Krishna is the one who is my true savior, my sarva, what is that, suhridam. Krishna is the best friend, and that is where I need to go. I don't need to go and ask for desire fulfillment. But nobody is decrying them. There are always, people in different levels. So many animals are there. They are, already covered with all this illusion. They are conditioned souls. It's there. Nobody is to be, nobody is putting them down. That's just the level where they are. Then I am in everyone's heart as a super soul. Krishna is in everyone's heart as a super soul. And that is why when somebody desires, okay, let me pray to this demigod, I want this. Krishna is the one who will increase the faith to that deity. Krishna is the one who will give permission to that demigod to grant him these wishes, because not even a blade of grass can move without the will of the Lord. So Krishna says that, I am in everyone's heart, and when they desire, I make his faith steady. So you can pray to any demigod. It's okay. Krishna is saying it's fine. Krishna clearly understands that when you finally surrender me and you finally understand me and surrender to me, that is when you will ultimately come to me. And how does God facilitate demigod worship? By instilling faith in their heart. He is the one who will give the faith also. He is the one who will empower the demigods also, so that when your wishes are fulfilled, your faith in the demigod also increases more. Krishna is doing that. So sometimes we think that other gods, doing various administrative work, they get angry. Some people, suppose they have been worshipping some particular demigod, and then they listen to these ISKCON Gita lectures, which is telling us exact words of what the Bhagavad Gita is saying without mincing. Now, what about Prabhupada? He will never mince words. Some people who will talk about the Gita will say, oh my God, people will not want to listen. Let me not say it like this. Then they will run away. They won't even want to follow it. And then they will make things lighter. But Prabhupada will not do that. He says things as they are. So some people, they get angry, why should we worship only Krishna? Why is it that, they don't understand? So sometimes we think and they also feel that maybe the God I've been worshipping for so many years, he may get angry. But they fail to see that actually all these demigods are completely surrendered to the Lord, and they know they are getting all whatever powers they have from Krishna, everything. So they are pure devotees of Krishna. And so in reality, when they see that, the devotee is actually now turning to Krishna, they actually become really happy. But we don't. We think that these demigods are also like our human relationships. Oh, today you're a friend. Oh, you go and talk to someone else tomorrow. Oh, you're not my friend. Nothing like that in the spiritual world. They are all serving Krishna, and they are very happy when they see that the devotee has stopped all his material desires and is now on the path to the reach of the world, the spiritual world, where there is no more birth, death, old age, and disease. So he's happy for them. What is the problem in approaching the demigods? The demigods can give benedictions, but not without the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna says, it is the men of small intelligence who worship demigods, because they don't see that the fruits are limited and temporary. Today you may pray, oh God, give this to my child, or give this to my wife, or give me this. But any blessing in the material world is always temporary. And when you keep worshipping a demigod, you will reach the planet of the demigod. So in this whole material world, all the demigods have their different planets. For example, Shiva will be in Rudraloka or whatever. There are different places where every demigod is. So when you're constantly in great devotion, you will reach that place. So say, what is wrong with that? Good. But that is also the material world. And so you have to undergo old age and death even there, even up to Brahma. Even the Lord Brahma, who's the top of the whole material world, he also has birth, death, old age, and disease. He also have to give up. His life also has a span. And then there'll be another Brahma. So this understanding we don't have till we reach the Bhagavad Gita and read it and understand it as it is meant to be understood, not by people who are trying to change the meaning for their own convenience. So the fact is that the demigods are temporary posts. They have limited powers. They don't have the power to destroy our karmas and sins. The demigods don't have that power. Why? Why do people go to demigods? Because they have lots of desires, and because right now their intelligence has not reached. Only through bhakti our intelligence and knowledge increases. So they haven't got the bhakti for Krishna, and that is why they are less intelligent, and so they are not really realizing that Krishna is a person giving everything. And what is the result of demigod worship? You get only limited temporary results, and finally you will go. Krishna says clearly, you can't buy the ticket to the spiritual. You're buying a ticket to the demigod's world, and then you say, oh, I want to go to a spiritual world where there is no birth, death, old age, disease. No, you can't. Whichever ticket you're getting, your goal is to reach a demigod, you will reach there. Krishna will give you faith and you will reach there. So demigods are agents of the Supreme Lord. Neither they are supremely powerful, nor are they eternal. But we respect all the demigods, whether it is, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, all of them are expansions of Krishna. So again, there is this misconception. People think that Dashavatar, okay, they all come from Vishnu. But yes, Krishna and Vishnu are considered to be interchangeable, because Krishna's one of the, first expansions are Vishnu. And from that, again, we have all these different avatars coming from Vishnu in the material world. That's why there is a slight, lack of clarity. We do respect all the demigods even after understanding Supreme Lord, because we know that they are all empowered by the Lord, but we don't equate them, because there is a Supreme Lord and we can't equate them. They are all getting their powers from the Lord. This is an understanding from many scriptures. Many people, they run away from the Bhagavad Gita classes the moment they hear this because they can't digest it. It's difficult to unlearn what you have learned from your childhood. Difficult, very difficult. That is why, many people, they take time. Even I had a tough time in the beginning when I started hearing this, and it took me time to really listen and listen and listen to the pure devotees and come to an understanding as to what really the scriptures are trying to say. Intelligent among human beings, they will seek permanent happiness from the eternal and the most powerful, all-powerful Lord. So takeaway is that demigods might give us what we want. The whole chapter 7, one whole section, if you read those verses, you will understand clearly. Demigods can give us whatever we want, but Krishna can give us only what we need. He will not give us. It's like the father will not give certain things to his child. The child will go and ask the uncle, or he may ask other, they may give. The father says, no, it's not time for you. You're not careful enough, or you get this and then you work for it. I will give it to you. So Krishna knows what we actually need. He's our father, mother. He's everything. He's our origin. He is the person who loves us the most. He will give you only what you need. The demigods may give you whatever you ask for because that is their position, and they become pleased, and then Krishna allows them to give what we are asking because he wants our faith to increase, because slowly we will be led to Krishna. Even if we don't know what we need, Krishna knows. There are many examples of this. Okay, let's come quickly towards 30 verses. Let's finish fast. It's almost time. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, Supreme Personal Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before. Then in the world I come, actually I'm Krishna, they think Krishna is actually, the God is impersonal. He comes as a person for some time and then again he becomes impersonal. So they don't, due to their small knowledge, they don't know that Krishna is higher, he has a higher nature. When he comes to the earth, he is in his transcendental original form. Krishna is a Purnavatar. Then there's the next verse. Again, Krishna says that if a person is foolish and unintelligent, Krishna will not allow him to understand him. Okay, because for them, I'm covered by Yoga Maya. Krishna is covered by Yoga Maya, and they will be deluded. They will not understand Krishna. So the deluded world knows me not, who am unborn and infallible. Krishna is unborn, he is infallible. Who can be a devotee is the last part of this chapter. Krishna says, oh Arjuna, I know everything in the past. I know the present. I know what's going to come. I know the living entities. But me, no one knows. Mam Tveda na Kashchana. Nobody will actually understand Krishna, because Krishna is also constantly expanding, constantly. Why doesn't everybody take the shelter? Because they are in confusion, they are in delusion, they are in ignorance and delusion. Only when you throw duality of, I like this, I don't like this, this is good, this is bad. When this kind of duality is removed, only then. Krishna says, I'm never manifest to foolish, unintelligent. I'm covered by my internal potency, and therefore, they do not know that I'm unborn. Oh Arjuna, I know everything. I also know the living entities, but me, no one knows. You have to throw your delusion. He says, oh conqueror, all living entities are born in delusion. They are bewildered by dualities, about desire, hate. I like this person, I don't like that. I like this, I don't like. Desire, I desire this, I hate that. So this ichcha and dvesha, desire and hatred, that is because you are covered with illusion. What is dvandva? Desire makes you like some, hate some, and it's leading to your duality. And 7.28, it explains how, you can see it below. I've written the a little more about duality. The duality is, like India, Pakistan, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, BJP, Congress, all these different, terminologies we have and of identities. Instead of wasting time on that, give up your desires, be free from the dvandva bhava, and only then you can do pure bhajana. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful reactions are completely eradicated, are freed from the duality of delusion, and then they engage themselves in the service with determination. Now here, suppose a soldier who's protecting the country, his duty is to fight for the country. We are not saying, oh, forget everything and don't fight. The whole purpose in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that you have to understand your duty you cannot give up. That Krishna says in several chapters. No, you don't have to give up the duty for which you are born into, the family and the role which you fall into. That is the duty which Krishna wants you to play. You have to do that. But at the same time, you have to reach a higher level spiritually where you don't have these dvandva bhavas. They don't affect you anymore. You have risen above them. Right? So forget the past. Begin wherever you are. It's never too late for a spiritual journey back home. If you want to go back and back to Krishna, back to us, our own real home, back to our own dearest person who loves us the most, which is Krishna. If you want to go back there, then it's not late. We cannot block ourselves with all our past learnings and then stop our spiritual journey. Let's start. It's never late. Let's start even today or now. It's time. So Arjuna is next chapter. He will ask many questions based on the 7.30 verse, which is there are lots of terms in this verse. That is adhi daivam, adhi yagnyam, prayana kale. Right? In this verse, when Krishna says, those who know me as a supreme lord, as a governing principle of the material manifestation, who know me as a one who is underlying all the demigods, and as a one person who sustains all sacrifices, they can have a steadfast mind and they can know me even at the time of death, and so they will come back to me. So these are different terms which comes in this verse. The governing principle of material manifestation is Adibhuta. Then the one who's underlying all the demigods is Adi Daiva. One sustaining all sacrifices is Adi Yajna. And so the Prayana Kale means at the time of death. So when he's using all these terms, Krishna in the last verse, next chapter you will see Arjuna asking, what is all this? So tomorrow's chapter is mainly about death. And we will try to finish it a little faster because I have a Bhakti Shastri class which I don't want to miss too much. So I will try to do chapter 8 really fast. Anybody has any doubt? I think we've come to the end. Let me finish the prayer. What is understanding? What is the understanding of a pure devotee? He moves from delusion to devotional service. The real test of all living beings is death. Just as in you learn in school, you're always getting ready for 10th standard board exam. Actually, the real test of the whole life is death. And the whole life you are preparing for this test, but people say, oh, don't think of death, just enjoy your life. But actually, you know what? It's a surprise test. We don't know when it's going to come. So we should prepare for it every moment. You want to pass the test. How will you pass it? By remembering Krishna at the moment of your death. Once you pass, you get the qualification to join the great servants of the Lord. If you fail, you will again be sent for a vacation to heaven and you enjoy the heaven and come back. Or you will be sent to hell because of the poverty of your karma, you will go to hell. And after your vacation or after your, punishment, you have to come back here. Instead, if you pass the test, you can go straight back to Krishna's world, permanent spiritual world. So in this chapter, we have seen about the glories of knowledge about Krishna, knowledge of the Krishna's energies, surrendering to Krishna, demigod worship, impersonalism, delusion to devotion. I'll not take any more time. Vansha kalpataru vyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha
Patitana Bhavanebhyo
patitana namo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
namaha. Yes, Kiran Kumar Prabhuji, do you have something to share?
Thank you, Mataji. All glories to Prabhupada. It's a wonderful presentation
Thank
by
you
His
so much.
grace.
I'm so
Yeah, Hare
grateful that some of
Krishna.
you are here to listen to me because every day I'm dreading, the numbers are coming down and will I have some devotees to listen to me? So it's really nice that that at least some of you are here to listen to my, presentation and sharing of my.
And and easier to remember the verses by knowing the easier meanings, like why we have to connect to the Bhagavad Gita and what is happening, what to do to get rid of the sins, like Sarvadharma Pratyajya Mamekam Saranam Raja, Aham Tan Sarva Bhavaya Moksheshyam Ma Sucha. Like this verse, I think 3 or 4 times says in Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, His Grace Swayam Bhavan Kesam Maharaj says in one of the lecture.
Okay, Prabhuji, you're already very highly elevated devotee,
Haribo,
Prabhuji.
no Mataji, I'm little creature compared to you guys. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's
Thank you,
nice to be here with
Mataji. Hare
you,
Krishna.
Bharati Mataji. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Mataji. A very informative session, Mataji. Is every day. I've only just joined last few days, but I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. It must be a lot of hard work for you to prepare for this, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm sure everybody else appreciates it also.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much,
Hare
Mataji. I
Krishna.
hope I can
Hare
continue
Krishna.
service. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, I'm ending class today. We'll meet tomorrow for chapter 8. It's all about the death and preparation of the final exam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.